Hare Krishna devotees, first I just want to start by thanking Alex Prabhu for giving me this opportunity to speak on this topic. And so we'll first start with the Mangala Charan prayers. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitham Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Shri Padakalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagradatam Ganam Kathavitam Tam Sujivam Advaitam Avadhutam Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Ganyam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lita Sri Visakhanvitam Sam Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriyan Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So the verses that are for today is Canto 1, Chapter 15, Text 39 to 44. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So first verse is text 39. Mathurayam tatha vajram
Mathurayam tatha vajram
Surasena patim tataha
Surasena-patim tataha
Prajapatyam nirupeshtim
Prajapatyam nirupeshtim
Agnin apivarishwaraha
Agnenavivarishwaraha. Mathurayam tatha vajram
Mathurayam tatha vajram
Surasena-patim tata
Surasena patim tataha
Prajapatyam nirupeshtim
Prajapatyam nirupeshtim
Agnenavivarishwaraha.
Agnin apivarishwaraha
Mathurayam tatha vajram
Mathurayam tatha vajram
Surasena-patim tata
Surasena patim tataha
Prajapatyam nirupeshtim
Prajapatyam nirupeshtim
Apivarishwaraha.
Agnin apivarishwaraha
Mathurayam tatha vajram
Mathurayam tatha vajram
Surasena-patim tata
Surasena patim tataha
Prajapatyam nirupeshtim
Prajapatyam nirupeshtim
Agnenavivarishwaraha.
Agnin apivarishwaraha Mathurayam at Mathura
Mathurayam at Mathura.
Tatha also
Tata
Vajram Vajra
Vajram Vajra.
Surasena patim king of the Surasenas
Surasena-patim Surasena.
Tata thereafter
Tata thereafter.
Prajapatyam Prajapatya sacrifice
Prajapatyam Prajapatya sacrifice.
Nirupya having performed
Nirupya having performed.
Ishtin go
Ishtim go.
Agnin fire
Agni fire.
Apipat placed in himself
Apivat placed in himself.
Ishvaraha capable.
Ishvara capable.
He then posted Vajra, the son of Aniruddha, the grandson of Krishna at Mathura, as the king of Surasena. Afterward, Maharaj Yudhisthir performed a Prajapatya sacrifice and placed in himself the fire for quitting household life.
Whatever. Oh, whatever, right?
Maharaj Yudhisthira, after placing Maharaj Pariksit on the imperial throne of Hastinapur, and after posting Vajra, the great grandson of Lord Krishna, as the king of Mathura, accepted the renounced order of life. The system of four orders of life and four castes in terms of quality and work, known as the Varnashram Dharma, is the beginning of a real human life. And Maharaj Yudhisthira, as the protector of the system of human activities, timely retired from active life as a sannyasi. handing over the charge of the administration to a trained prince, Maharaj Pariksit. The scientific system of Varnashram Dharma divides human life into four divisions of occupation and four orders of life. Four orders of life as Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa are to be followed by all irrespective of the occupational division. Modern politicians do not wish to retire from active life, even if they are old enough. But Maharaj Yudhisthira, as an ideal king, voluntarily retired from active administration life to prepare himself for the next life. Everyone's life must be so arranged that at the last stage of life, say at least the last 15 to 20 years prior to death, can be absolutely devoted to devotional service of the Lord to attain the highest perfection of life. It is really foolish to engage oneself all the days of one's life in material enjoyment and fruitive activities, because as long as the mind remains absorbed in fruitive work for material enjoyment, there is no chance of getting out from conditioned life or material bondage. No one should follow the suicidal policy of neglecting one's supreme task of attaining the highest perfection of life, namely going back home, back to Godhead. So, here Prabhupada says here that Maharaj Yudhishthira retired timely. He retired at the right time. Nowadays, people they will do anything to become the president or the prime minister or the king. And once they get that position, they won't let go of it. Even at the end of the empire, not one king ruled for more than 10 years. Either they were killed or overthrown by another person, and that person was killed or overthrown. Same with the next person, on and on and on. So everyone wants this position, and they fight like cats and dogs, even for the position when they are very, very, very old. But Maharaj Yudhishthira knew it was the time to retire and go into the forest and focus on Krishna. So he retired timely. Srila Prabhupada also explains in the purport that as long as the mind remains absorbed in fruitive activities, in material enjoyment, it is hard to get out of conditioned life. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying if we are into these football games, there's a big one going on right now. There's these football games, these FIFA World Cups, all of this, if we're all into it, it's hard to get out. It's hard to get out of conditioned life. But if the mind is absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet, it is easy to cross over the ocean of material suffering. King Kulashekara says this in the Mukundamala Stotra, verse 42. Chittam naiva nivartate khanamapi Shri Krishna padam bhujan Nindantu priya bandhava gurudana Krishnan mucchantu va Durvadam parighoshayanta manuja Vamshe kalanke stuva Tadritvem madhana Batayamanam punyam. Translation. My mind cannot turn from Sri Krishna's lotus feet, even for a moment. So let my dear ones and other relatives criticize me. My superiors accept or reject me as they like. The common people spread evil gossip about me. My family's reputation is sullied. For madmen like me, it is an honor to feel this flood of love of Godhead, which brings such sweet emotions of attraction for my Lord. So what King Kushekar is saying here is even if my relatives hate me, everyone hates me, but Krishna, so if everyone spits on me, but Krishna looks at me, my life is successful. But if everyone admires me, but Krishna spits on me, my life is useless. So he's saying Krishna's lotus feet is the ultimate goal. All this in the material world is temporary. Krishna's lotus feet is the ultimate goal in life. So on to the next verse. Yes, bro.
No one should follow the written policy of one
It also says Yudhisthir Maharaj. Another example. He did his task. He did his duty of becoming the king. He did his duty. But when the time came, he left all his family. He left this kingdom and went into the forest. He didn't hold on to it. He didn't hold on to it. But he did his supreme task. He did his task.
even this part of the purpose of the character. I think clearly mentioned, right? 15, 20 years of your life.
Yeah.
What is that?
I was amazed actually, you know.
It's
It's highlighted.
Yeah,
Highlighted,
yeah,
yeah. So can you believe that? Like, Prabhupada's mercy, it very clearly even tells you how many years.
yeah.
So that's why these purports are like golden.
That's
Bhakti
true.
Vedanta purport. You don't even have to guess something, right? You know exactly, like, when you have the last 15, 20 years of life, what you do.
Leave everything and go.
That's-
Just focus.
Exactly, that is what. So, but this is again, as I was I heard a couple of devotees telling, this is more of a mental condition. It's not actually a
Physically
physical.
going into
Physical is good. If you can do that, that's good. More of a mental condition. Priority wise, mentally, you give up everything else. This is your only priority. All other things come later. Only for people who are in this stage. But as Pariksit was mentioning, right, we are seeing just opposite happening. At the age of 80, they are fighting for political places and all those kind of things. Thank you.
Yeah, I was hearing the Prabhupada lecture on this verse last Sunday, and it was pretty interesting. Now, how it's the opposite. And Prabhupada was actually telling that about devotees also. If those who are in Krishna consciousness, they should also keep this in mind, that not to hang on to positions, not to hang on to our roles and the press. But not to hang on to our positions, because it's gonna only make matters worse. It will not bring us to this mental state where we are performing. We are ready for pure devotional service. Always busy, this problem, that problem. Prabhupada was telling not only materialists but also those who are in Krishna consciousness should realize that we should not hang on to our all these roles and responsibilities. So here, for the first time, I'm seeing that Prabhupada is actually, because many places Prabhupada also says, death can come any moment. What is 15, 20 years? Right? So, but here Prabhupada is acknowledging that, okay, let's say average maybe 75, 80.
Right, that's like
So
that.
and he talks about all the different ashrams in the previous line. So it's pretty nice that Prabhupada is not like saying no, you can die tomorrow also, so every day it should become like that.
Yeah.
So when it's time for performing your duties, you perform your duties nicely, and when it's time to retire, you retire. Give the thrones to the young generation.
Yeah. I was listening to one of Radhesham Prabhu's lectures, like he was saying, after certain point of time in Krishna consciousness life, the actual seniority comes when you actually give the roles and responsibility to youngsters who comes after you and sit in the back seat. You sit in the back seat and observe them performing those activities that you were already performing before. And then don't try to advise them freely. Just don't tell them, don't poke. You did not do this, you're not supposed to do like this. Let them do the mistakes. He said, let them do it and they will come to you. Prabhu, we failed. We tried to do the same thing but we failed.
Right.
Then because you're already observing sitting in the back seat, you know where they went wrong, so then you advise them. So this is where you went wrong,
Right.
and correct them. And he said that's the exact duty of a senior,
Mm.
you know, not like, oh no, because I'm still in the movement, still I'm doing it, so I only want to do it. You youngsters, you listen to it, you follow. No, you just sit in the back seat and do it.
Right.
So this also we can relate like that, you know.
Yeah.
Even in Krishna consciousness, being in the movement, practicing is also you detach. You detach and be in the back seat and give the throne to the next
Yep.
generation. You know, that's what Yudhisthir is doing. That's what we also have to do. As seniors, the next generation, as the generation comes, sit back and then let them do it. They have more energy, they have more ideas. You know, the youth, the generation gap, they are getting creative, more and more creative. People are getting creative, and like, so sit in the back and let them do it. You know, so that's exactly what he said. Even Prabhu was saying. Many times he will sit in the back and he will watch. And he said he could see some things they are not supposed to do like that, but still he will not say anything. And when the people comes to him, Prabhu, what happened? We did the same thing that you did. Then he said, no, you at this step you went wrong. You correct it next time. And he said, by letting them do the mistakes, they will learn much faster and they will remember next time when they do it. But if you keep on advising, they'll get frustrated.
Exactly.
Anyway, he will tell us what to do. We'll do it. You know, it's like that. So we can relate this very nicely to that.
Even
point.
Raja Bihari Memu said the same thing when he came. Remember that?
Yeah.
He was giving the example of Pandav Sena in UK.
Mm.
Earlier, his father used to be the president, and he
Right.
gave the responsibility to his son. Like he's only 16 years old, and he is managing the entire Pandav Sena.
Yeah. It's very important to train the generation coming after.
Then
So
also,
do you want to add something? You want to add
Yeah, I
something?
just want that even Prabhupada said, these children are the future.
Mm.
These children that we are seeing, the children
And they're raising up are the future of this ISKCON. So we have to take care of them and train them in Krishna consciousness.
also like the point that you made about the
Mm.
how the entire world can admire me, but if business is coming, what is the deal? Yeah. So I was thinking, same even for in everything, and especially when we're doing any service for Krishna,
Yeah.
Kirtan, I need the best spot, best time slot where everybody is there. Then it will be fun. Otherwise, who will do when nobody is there? But that's miss the point. We're doing it for Krishna. Krishna is always here.
Yeah, today when we came, nobody is there because we started very early from home because we know we are going to get stuck on Lane Avenue or somewhere. So we left home at 6:45. We left home around 6:50, 10 to 7, because we can be here at least by 7:30, 7:45 like that. Nobody is here, right?
Mm.
They are doing something. So I told Pariksit, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people are here.
Exactly.
So we'll make rest for the rest of them. Let's
Right.
sing the Vaishnav bhajans for 8 of them.
Right.
And then he sang Bhajo Hare Mana, then I was singing Keval Ashtakam, So I was telling them, never wait for the crowd.
No.
Prabhupada is sitting here waiting for somebody to speak on time, so we just do it. So we're just singing Vaishnav bhajans.
Yeah. Same thing for Bhagavatam class also. Same thing.
Yeah,
Nobody is there. How can we say nobody is there?
yeah.
Yeah.
Temple is house full. Demigods are listening to Srimad Bhagavatam from Pariksit.
Yeah. So it's really, really nice. Every sentence is so much to apply in life. But thank you for facilitating this page.
So even this, you see this last sentence before what he has highlighted,
Mm.
voluntarily retired from active administrative life
That's what I
to
was saying.
prepare himself for the next level. See how that each word is so important.
Yeah.
So that's what Prabhupada's purports are mind-boggling actually. The only thing is we need to put our time to read each. See that word is very clear. What is the purpose of doing this? So that is also Prabhupada by his mercy as Srila Prabhupada has given. Prepare for next life. See that's where you have to balance. Is this temporary world which is going to go away with this breath? Is this important for you, or is the next life important? You decide if you are into this. What is important? Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so we'll go into text 40. Vishijya tatra tat sarvam
Siddhya tatra tat sarvam Dukula Valayadikam Nirmamo Nirahankara Satchinna Shesha Bandhana Visajya Tatra Tatsarvam Dukula Valayadikam Nirmamo Nirahankara Sanchina Shesha Bandhana Visajya Tatra Tatsarvam Dukula Valayadikam Nirmamo Nirahankara Sanchina Shesha Bandhana. Visajya, relinquishing. Tatra, all those. Tat, that. Sarvam, everything. Dukula, belt. Valayadikam, and bangles. Nirmama, in uninterested. Nirahankaraha, unattached. Sanchina, perfectly cut off. Ashesha Bandhana, unlimited attachment. Maharaj Yudhisthira at once relinquished all his garments, belt, and ornaments of the royal order and became completely disinterested and unattached to everything.
To become purified of material contamination is the qualification for becoming one of the associates of the Lord. No one can become an associate of the Lord or can go back to God. Such purification. Maharaj Yudhisthira, therefore, to become spiritually pure, at once gave up his royal opulence, relinquished his royal dress and garments. The Kashaya or saffron line cloth of the sannyasi indicates freedom from all attractive material garments, and thus he changed his dress accordingly. He became disinterested in his kingdom and family and thus became free from all material contamination or material designation. People are generally attached to various kinds of designations. The designations of family, society, country, occupation, wealth, position, and many others. As long as one is attached to such designations, he is considered materially impure. The so-called leaders of men in the modern age are attached by national consciousness, but they do not know that such false consciousness is also another designation of a materially conditioned soul. One has to relinquish such designations before one can become eligible to go back to Godhead. Foolish people adore such men who die in national consciousness. But here is an example of Maharaj Yudhisthira, a royal king who prepared himself to leave this world without such national consciousness. And yet, he is remembered even today because he was a great pious king, almost on the same level with the personality of Godhead, Sri Ram. And because of people of the world were dominated by such pious kings, they were happy in all respects, and it was quite possible for such great emperors to rule the world.
Jai.
Here,
It says at the beginning of the purport, no one can become an associate of the Lord or can go back to Godhead without such purification. So one has to go through purification to go back to Godhead. No one can go back to Godhead without purification. Now someone may ask, what is this process of purification? How do we get purified? Well, the Shastra gives a solution in the Mukundamala Stotra. Chetas chintaya kirtaya swarasane namri bhavatvam shiro astavanjali samputam vrajayatam vandasva dirgham vapu. धन्यं पुण्यतमं तदेव आत्मं संशयपुण्डरीकनयनं नागाचलेन्द्रस्थितम् धन्यं पुण्यतमं तदेव परमं दैवं हि सत्सिद्धये. Translation. O mind, think of the lotus-eyed Lord who reclines on the mountain like serpent Ananta. O tongue, glorify him. O head, bow down to him. O hands, join your palms in supplication to him. O body, offer outstretched obeisances to him. O heart, take full shelter of him. O that Supreme Lord is the topmost deity. It is He alone who is all-auspicious and supremely purifying. He alone who awards eternal perfection. This verse says that you have to. It mentions all of the senses. It says, "O mind, think of the Lord. O tongue, glorify Him. O head, bow down to Him. O hand, join your palms in supplication to Him. O body, offer outstretched obeisances to Him. Offer dandavat. O heart, take full shelter of Him. That Supreme Lord is the topmost deity. He is alone the all-auspicious and purifying Supreme Deity. He is supremely purifying." If everyone could add any pastimes of devotees who went through this purification process and went back on their Godhead. Yeah, Haridas Thakur. Prahlad. Dhruva Maharaj. Lord Vishnu touched the conch shell to his head, and he became filled with all this knowledge and glorified the Lord. He was purified by the Lord's conch shell touching his head. In the process was chanting and thinking about him. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, I'll just say it brief. So, one day Dhruva Maharaj, he was the king's son, King Uttanapada's son. So he went to his father, and he saw his brother sitting on his father's lap. And so he said, "Oh, I also want to sit on my father's lap." So when he went to climb onto his father's lap. But his stepmother, Suruchi, said, "No, you cannot climb onto your father's lap. If you want to climb onto your father's lap, you have to be born from my womb, and my womb only." And Dhruva Maharaj was so much hurt. Now, he was hurt by his stepmother's words, but not as much as he was hurt by his father's silence. Our friends, nothing hurts more than a friend's silence. Our enemies can throw sharp arrows at us, but if our friends are silent, that's what hurts the most. So Dhruva Maharaj was so pained, and he ran away crying to his mother, Suniti. So he went to his mother and she said, "Oh Dhruva, what happened? Why are you crying?" And Dhruva Maharaj said, "Suruchi said that I could not climb onto father's lap, and father didn't say anything." And Mother Suruchi said, "Oh child, this is how life you can." And Dhruva Maharaj said, "I can't." Mother Suruchi said that I can't climb onto my father's lap unless I'm born from her womb. And then Mother Suniti said, "Oh Dhruva Maharaj, if you wish something, you have to worship Lord Vishnu." And I've heard that sages, they go into the forest and worship Lord Vishnu. So you have to go into the forest. And Dhruva Maharaj said, "Who is this Vishnu?" And Mother Suniti said, He he is more loving than 1,000 mothers. So he is more loving than 1,000 mothers, and he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So you must go into the forest and meditate on it. And so Dhruva Maharaj immediately marched into the forest to meditate on Lord Vishnu. He was walking through the dark jungles, many wild animals, and then he came upon Narada Muni. Narada Muni always comes at the right time. And so Narada Muni said, "Oh, you are the king's son. What are you doing in this dark forest? Go back to the palace. Are you lost?" And the Maharaj said, "No, I am here on a mission. I want to find Lord Vishnu." And Narada Muni said, "Oh no, you are so young. You're only 5 years old. You should go back to the palace, play and enjoy with your friends, and then you can come back when you're older. You're so young." And the Maharaj said, "No, I will not. No, I want to find Vishnu now." And he told Narada Muni the whole story about his mother Suruchi insulting him. And he said, "Oh, it's fine. You should hang on to little things like these. When you go back to the palace and play with your friends, when you come older, then you can come and worship on Vishnu." But Maharaj said, "Narada Muni, I am a Kshatriya. I cannot tolerate this insult. My blood is boiling and I need to find Vishnu." And so Narada Muni was pleased with his determination. And so he said, "Okay, go to this forest, Madhuvan. Madhuvan is a very holy forest. Krishna used to perform his pastimes. Krishna performs his pastimes there in Madhuvan." And so he whispered in Dhruva a mantra for him to chant. He whispered, "Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya." He said, chant this mantra and meditate on Vishnu. Dhruva Maharaj, with renewed confidence, marched into the forest to meditate on Vishnu. And he came to Madhuvan. And he started meditating. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. For the first few days, all he would do was eat some berries. For the next few days, after that, for the next few weeks, he would only eat dry leaves and grass. And then for the next few weeks, he would only drink water. And then for the next few weeks, every 12 hours, he would take one. And then the next 12 hours, he'd go. And then for the next few weeks, he completely stopped breathing. And his meditation was so, and he stood on one foot and with his arms raised into the sky. And his meditation was so intense, the entire universe was suffocating. And the demigods didn't know what was happening, so they went to Brahma and said, "Please help us, we're suffocating, we don't know what's happening." And then Brahma and all the demigods, they went to Vishnu. And Vishnu said, This is my young devotee Dhruva. I shall go to him now." And so Vishnu came to Dhruva. And first he appeared in Dhruva's heart. And Dhruva was so happy seeing Lord Vishnu, but then Lord Vishnu disappeared. And that broke Dhruva's concentration meditation, and he opened his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he saw the same figure that he saw in his heart standing right before him. And Dhruva is a 5-year-old boy, so he doesn't know many Sanskrit verses. So he didn't know he was studying for words. But then Lord Vishnu, he took his conch shell and touched Dhruva Maharaj's head. And that filled Dhruva Maharaj with knowledge. And then he started glorifying the Lord. So this is the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. And Dhruva Maharaj wished for a kingdom greater than his grandfather. So Lord Vishnu still granted him the wish, even though Dhruva Maharaj said, "I do not wish anything. I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but I found the rarest of the gems. I was looking for these kingdoms or these broken pieces of glass, but I found a great diamond, you." So this is the Dhruv Maharaj pastime. And Dhruv Maharaj, this is one example of thinking about the Lord, being purified by thinking about the Lord. There are many, many other examples of all these other ways. But for time's sake, we'll go on to the next verse.
We provide for harmony,
Yeah, we'll do that. Vacham dukhava manasi tat prana itare jatam vritya apanam sotsargam tam panchve Then he amalgamated all the sense organs into the mind, then into life, life into breathing, his total existence into the embodiment of five elements, and his body into death. Then, as pure self, he became free from the material conception of life.
Maharaj Yudhisthir, my twin brother, began to concentrate and gradually became freed from all material bondage. First, he concentrated all the actions of the senses and amalgamated them into the mind. Or, in other words, he turned his mind toward the transcendental service of the Lord. He prayed that since all material activities are performed by the mind in terms of actions and reactions of the material senses, and since he was going back to Godhead, the mind would wind up its material activities and be turned towards the transcendental service of the Lord. He was no longer a need for material activities. Actually, the activities of the mind cannot be stopped, for they are the reflection of the eternal soul, and the qualities of the activities can be changed from matter to the transcendental service of the Lord. The material color of the mind is changed when one washes it clean of the contaminations of life breathing and thereby frees it from the contamination of repeated births and deaths and situates it in pure spiritual life. All is manifested by the temporary embodiment of the material body, which is production of the mind at the time of death. And if the mind is purified by practice of transcendental loving service to the Lord and is constantly engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no more chance of mind's producing another material body after death. It will be freed from absorption in material contamination. The pure soul will be able to return home back to Godhead.
So as you can see, Prabhupada mainly focuses on the wretched mind. This mind is like a monkey. It never stops.
Keeps going from tree to tree to tree to tree. Picks up the thoughts of this world like fruits and takes them. So he says, actually, the activities of the mind cannot be stopped, for they are the reflection of the eternal soul. But the quality of the activities can be changed from matter to the transcendental service of the Lord. Even Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita says to Krishna, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi bhalavadhridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayor eva suduskaram. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, Lord Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Just for a show of hands, how many here think they can control the wind? No one, right? The wind is very hard to control. You can't even control the air coming from this little desktop fan. So, imagine controlling the wind. And so, Arjuna is saying the mind is harder than controlling the wind. So now we have a problem here. And we need a solution. King Kulashekara gives a solution in Mukundamala Stotra verse 12. Bhavajaladhyamaghadham dustaram nistareyam katamahamiti cheto masmaga kataratam sarasi jagashideve Taragi bhakti deva naragabhiti niranna tarayishyatyavashyam. Dear mind, do not bewilder yourself by anxiously thinking, how can I cross this fathomless and impassable ocean of material existence? There is one who can save you, devotion. If you offer her to the lotus-eyed Lord of the killer of Narakasura, she will carry you across this ocean without fail. Our endeavors to cross across this fathomless ocean of material existence is like trying to dog paddle across the Pacific Ocean. It's practically impossible. We can't do it. But this devotion is like a big boat that's taking us across the ocean and to the other side and to the other shore. So we can see here that the mind is very, very restless. But by practicing devotional service and serving the Lord, we can cross over this ocean of material existence. So you will go into the next verse, 42. तच्चैकत्वेर्जुहोन्मुनि सर्वमात्मानुजुहवेत् ब्रह्मण्यात्मन्नवव्ययम्. Thus annihilating the gross body of five elements into three qualitative modes of material nature, he merged them in one essence and then absorbed that essence in the self, Brahman, which is inexhaustible in all circumstances.
All that is manufactured in the material world is the product of the Tattva Abhyakta. And things that are visible in a material business are nothing but manifestations of such variegated material products. But the living entity is different from such material products. It is due to the living entity's forgetfulness of his eternal nature as eternal servitor of the Lord, and his false conception of being a so-called Lord of the material nature that he is obliged to enter into the existence of false and sense enjoyment. Thus a concomitant generation of material energies is the principal cause of the mind's being materially affected. Thus the gross body of five elements is produced. Maharaj Yudhisthir reversed the action and merged the five elements of the body in the three modes of material nature. The qualitative distinction of the body is as being good, bad, or mediocre is extinguished, and again the qualitative manifestations become merged in the material energy, which is produced from a false sense of the pure living being. When one is thus inclined to become an associate of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead in one of the innumerable planets of the spiritual sky, especially in Goloka Vrindavan, one has to think always that he is different from the material energy. He has nothing to do with it, and he has to realize himself as pure spirit, Brahman, qualitatively equal with Supreme Brahman, Parameshwara. Maharaj Yudhisthira, after distributing his kingdom to Pariksit and Vajra, did not think himself emperor of the Lord or head of the Kuru dynasty. This sense of freedom from material relations as well as freedom from the material engagement of the gross and subtle encirclement makes one free to act as a servitor of the Lord, even though one is in the material world. This stage is called the Jivan Mukta stage or the liberated stage, even in the material world. That is the process of ending material existence. One must not only think that he is Brahman, but must act like Brahman. One who only thinks himself Brahman is an impersonalist, and one who acts like Brahman is the pure devotee.
Okay. So, anyone want to?
First on the verse, anything that they find.
But it is how the life is so incredibly difficult, the whole journey from day one, and then how the whole war was fought, we became the king, we started with and there was good things. But then again, the good, first bad, anything bad happens, then anything good happens, we become ahead. Now it's my time to enjoy. I had so much of hardship. Like, finally I got a good time. But here you can show many examples that it's not about this time or that time. It is about the time of the what time of
finally I get the age of 75. So I just want to, I just want to get world tour, whatever. Yeah, and we all like to very good for as long as, but then once finally perfectly situated, for our time and all that stuff.
So, okay, so we shall go into the next verse. Chiravasa niraharo Baddhavan muktamurdhajaः Darshan atmanurupam Jadonmatta pisachavad Anavekshamano niragar Ashrinvan bhadiro yatha. After that, Maharaj Yudhisthira dressed himself in torn clothing, gave up eating all solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All this combined to make him look like an urchin or a madman, with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers for anything, and just like a deaf man, he heard nothing. That-
Free from all experiences, nothing life or family issues. And for all practical purposes, he forced himself exactly like a nurse said, Pariksit, and did not speak of his own. He had no dependence on his brothers, who had all along been helping him. This state of complete independence from everything is also called the purified state of realization.
So, here it says, he had no dependence on his brothers who had all along been helping him. So this just shows that we have to walk our own path. Like we have to row our own boat. Like Maharaj Yudhisthira, he went through so much with his brothers. The log house, the Kurukshetra war, the biggest battle in history. He went through all of that with his brothers, but when the time came, he left everything and walked on his own path. We have to do our spiritual life. We have to work on ourselves too. We can help others, but we have to walk our own path. We have to work on ourselves. And so this is also open to discussion if anyone wants to say anything.
So we have a question from the people. Question is from Naim Prabhu. Naim Prabhu is asking, does devotional service let us achieve control over the mind, or does it just serve to get us through this life without ever taking control of the mind? Very good question.
So, yes, that's a very good question. If anyone wants to say anything.
What do you want to say first?
So the mind, it's very hard to control. It's very, very hard. But if one does devotional service, they get two things. They go back on back to Godhead, and they attain control over the mind. Because the mind becomes calm. It doesn't become crazy with all these worldly things. It becomes calm, becomes focused on Krishna. Then we can control the mind. And anyone wants to say anything?
Yeah, that's the very point that my question was asked.
And the similar situation where the devotees are suggested at the end of their life is coming. So they, because like in all the process it is said, okay, by the devotional service is emphasized. So like in nectar of devotion, it's always yukta vairagya is always emphasized. So why this seems contradictory that, okay, now finally why one has to, like Yudhisthira Maharaj is leaving everything, why can't he utilize his time engaging all his citizens also in the devotional service and also stay there at the same place. So he answered that even that so-called path, even the material world, that is the so-called vidya, that is also avidya. And the perfection for as long as in the interaction of the material engagement, it is not possible to be completely purified. But that process of so-called avidya is to purify and to come to the stage of the perfection, that the final process can become easy. So the Isha Upanishad mentions this, the so-called, that it calls even the family life, it calls the avidya part of it, it's not completely purified. So that is just like Prabhu is mentioning, that his mind will be able to easily control. So it's not contradictory, it's just a path of an elevation. So, but ultimately freedom is possible, and that's why the come to the point. And in previous time, that this whole the society was established based on the principle of varnashram dharma. So that's why easy, and they were not like deviating or from the process. It will come naturally to them, and now it is becoming difficult because the basis of life is material.
I was thinking of a class I heard from Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj recently. So he was talking something similar, but maybe a little different. But here Prabhupada also says that actually the activities of the mind cannot be stopped. So this whole word, like the term controlling the mind, is actually just tricks. Like it's not really. It doesn't mean what it says. You can never control the mind. Mind is not like a dog. Dog you train, and then the dog behaves till the end of the life. You click, like do snap, and then it will sit, and you say, "Come here," it will come. Dog is different. Like mind is not like a dog. So what he said was that mind is like a tree, So it's your duty to like sow the seed in first place. Mind is like a soil, and you sow the seeds, and then the tree will come. Automatically, the fruits will come. What you sow. So same way, mind will always function, and how much you feed the mind, that is the return you will get. So it is at the end of the life, when we say controlling the mind, it means that you engage your mind so much in devotional service that it only can think of devotional service.
Correct. Yeah.
There is no question that okay, I will now control my mind, I will train, I will make it in such a way that I will tell that okay, think of Krishna, it will start thinking. No, that is not possible. And so it's constant engage. Like even right now we have sometimes we want to watch football games or whatever World Cup going on right now, whatever, everybody have different the material sense gratification. But as soon as one always absorb themselves, that's what we see all the senior Vaishnavas. They have no time for anything. All they want to do is just okay, how can we make this preaching process more successful? How can we this retreat, that retreat, this program, that program, this scenario, that scenario. Constant just Krishna consciousness. There is no other engagement. So at the end of the life, obviously only that thought will come.
They say, right, when you squeeze a mango, you will get mango juice. When you squeeze an orange, you will get orange juice.
Right.
You cannot squeeze an orange and expect a mango juice.
Right.
So what our mind is absorbing throughout our life, that's what is going to come at the end when you squeeze it.
Yeah, so also the example, if you pour ice cold water on someone's head in the night, they'll scream at you in their mother tongue.
Like if you're sleeping and if you put ice cold water on the head, they will scream at their mother tongue, he's saying. Like they can speak multilinguistics, like they can speak so many languages, but to find out what exactly is their mother tongue, put ice cold water when they're sleeping, so they scream in their mother tongue language.
Because that's the nature of someone who likes a bicycle, they say their mother tongue.
So like what we feed to the mind, that's what is going to come at the end. So controlling the mind is that like we are focusing like good dog and bad dog, whatever you feed, that's going to be the active one. If you feed the bad dog watching games, movies and whatever, then that's going to be much louder at the time of death. And if you feed the good dog, doing devotional service and like associating with devotees and things, that's going to be louder at the time of death.
Even in devotional service also, like if we are focused, what Prabhupada's irony is
Fault
not,
finding.
yeah, this, and at the end of the life also, oh no, this
Yeah,
is problem,
and
this
then
is
there are
problem.
some people they just like to correct.
Yeah.
Oh no, Prabhupada dhoti has to come like this, no, turban has to go like this, or bangles has to come like this. So when they see, they only see that, they don't see anything else. So, but it's not like it's wrong, but not all the time you focus on what they did not do right. There is something that they did right also. We should appreciate. So we just have to feed that mind with the positiveness and the transcendental qualities. Slowly, it will.
I hope Nai Prabhu that answers. You got 4 answers now. Take whichever you like. Okay. Text 44.
Yeah. Udijim praviveshasham
Udicim praveshasham
gata purva mahat
Niti Brahma Param Dhanyam Navarteta Yadogata. He then started towards the north, treading the path accepted by his forefathers and great men, to devote himself completely to the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he lived in that way wherever he went.
It is understood from this verse that Maharaj followed in the footsteps of his forefathers in the great devotees of the Lord. We have discussed many times before that the system of Varnashram Dharma, as it was strictly followed by the inhabitants of the world, specifically by those who inhabited by the Aryavarta Brahmins of the world, emphasizes the importance of using all household connections at a certain stage of life. The training and education was so imparted.
A respectable person like Maharaj Yudhisthir had to leave all family connections for self-realization and going back to God. No king or respectable gentleman would continue family life till the end, because that was considered suicidal and against the interest of the protection of the human life. In order to be free from all family encumbrances and devote oneself 100% in the devotional service of Lord Krishna, this system is always recommended for everyone because it is the path of authority. The Lord instructs in Bhagavad Gita 1862 that one must become a devotee of the Lord at least at that last stage of one's life. A sincere soul of the Lord, like Maharaj Yudhisthir, must abide by this instruction of the Lord for his own interest. The specific words Brahma Param indicate Lord Sri Krishna. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita 10:13 by Arjuna with reference to great authorities like Asita, Devala, Narada and Vyasa. Thus Maharaj Yudhisthira, while leaving home for the north, constantly remembered Lord Sri Krishna within himself, following in the footsteps of his forefathers as well as the great devotees of all times.
So it says near the last part of the purport.
It says, thus Maharaj Yudhisthira, while leaving home for the north, constantly remembered Lord Sri Krishna within himself, following in the footsteps of his forefathers as well as the great devotees of all time. So it says, constantly remembering Sri Krishna within himself. So constantly remembrance, or constantly chanting or remembering Krishna's name. Kinkusha Krishna Mukunda Mahastotra. Shatru Chaidaika Mantram Sakalam Upanishad Vakya Sampujya Mantram Samsarocheda Mantram Samukita Tamasa Sanganiryana Mantram Sarvaishwaryaika Mantram Vyasana Bhujaka Sandakta Santrana Mantram Shri Shri Krishna Mantram Japa Japa Satatam Janma Sahalya Mantram. O tongue, please constantly chant the mantra composed of Shri Krishna's name. This is the only mantra for destroying all enemies, the mantra worshipped by every word of the Upanishads, the mantra that uproots samsara, the mantra that drives away all darkness of ignorance, the mantra for attaining infinite opulence, the mantra for curing those bitten by the poisonous snake of worldly distress, the mantra for making one's birth in this world successful. So this verse is talking about like this Mukunamala for the 31. So this Mukunamala verse is mainly talking about is talking about the entire translation is about chanting the holy name, chanting this mantra, and we have chanting this mantra, and the Prabhupada Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this mantra in this age of Kali. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he gave us this mantra to chant. It says, O tongue, please constantly chant the mantra composed of Krishna's names. So we have many examples of this chanting of the holy name. We have Haridas Thakur, Namacharya. Haridas Thakur chanted 192 rounds every day. That takes almost the entire day. So he would do that every single day, even though he was beaten at 22 marketplaces. But at the end, when he left this body, he left in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arms. So that he left in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arms. Just imagine, you're lying in Krishna's hands. Krishna and Radharani in one body. Go, Ra. Go for Govinda, Ra for Radharani. Govinda and Radharani in one mix, Go, Ra. So imagine just lying in Gauranga's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hand and leaving the body in his hands, him looking directly at you. And Haridas Thakur had that opportunity. And other examples, Nimai and the dog. We all know this pastime. Nimai was a little child and he saw a dog on the street, puppy on the street, and he said, "Ooh, puppy!" And he took the puppy home. And his mom was like, "Oh, what is this puppy? What is this puppy? Don't take it inside the house. It's dirty, it's dirty. Keep it outside. Keep it outside." And so she tied the dog outside the house. And Nimai was very sad because he wanted to play with the dog. And so he went outside and the dog wasn't there. And he was like, "No, the puppy's gone, the puppy's gone." So he was looking all over for it and then he found it. And then he took the dog into his lap. And then from that touch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that touch of his fingers, the dog started chanting. Imagine a puppy chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So everyone was bewildered. And the puppy chanted, and then the puppy, he left his body. He left his body chanting the holy name. And he went back home, back to Godhead. So we have countless of pastimes of this chanting of the holy name. But for time's sake, I'm not gonna continue. I won't say any more pastimes, but it's open to discussion. Oh, it's already 9:20. Oh, 9:20.
Just for the sake of Kalika, chanting of the holy name.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata.
So that's the only way we can purified, transcend the mind to the transcendental activities, and everything that we spoke about in all these verses is the essence is you chant the holy names attentively.
Yeah.
You will get the benefit if you don't attentively chant also, but in order to establish, in order to achieve all these things that we spoke, we have to chant attentively every single day the holy names.
Actually, I was hearing one little short video from His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, and he was saying that if one is not chanting attentively, if one's chanting is bad, that itself is considered as fall down. People are asking that what is fall down? So the first thing he said. So he's there. I think the point was like 3 ways you can be seen. 3 ways of like in Krishna consciousness, like being steady in Krishna consciousness.
Being steady in
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yes. So he's saying the first is if your chanting is good, that is the basis of everything.
Yeah.
But if your chanting itself is not good, you can consider that as a fall down. First of all. Then secondly, he said to have the attitude of a student always.
Learning.
Always attitude of a student. Students don't say, oh, you are wrong, you are right.
Yeah.
They are always learning, improving. The third, he said hard work. Work so hard in Krishna consciousness that you feel tired at the end of the day, but that tiredness will take you back to Bhakti. So
Awesome.
tire yourself in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go, yeah, it's too much, one program a week, I think that's good for me. Tired, are you tired?
Yeah.
I'm tired.
He even says in the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, to conclude the entire magnum opus of Srimad Bhagavatam, of the 18,000 verses, it says, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanastam Namami Harim Param. It says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregation of chanting of whose holy name destroys all sinful reactions, and offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering.
Haribo.
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan ki
Ki
jai.
Jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Yeah.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Ananda Bhagavatam
Ki Jai.